I was sleeping in my house in Watertown, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang from my friend Guy. What the hell is going on in Watertown? Turn on the TV. I turned on the television and started seeing news footage of the shootout that had happened last night at Dexter and Laurel Street, about 45 seconds away from our house. Boston was in lockdown, and Watertown was certainly in lockdown. I'm Joshua Touster. I live in Watertown, Mass. I'm a commercial photographer. I make a living doing photography. I've spent 5 years photographing at Suffolk Downs Racetrack, the minor league baseball team, the Brockton Rocks. I've been on tour with the band Fish for the last 5 years. In 2011, photographing the Occupy movement for a project called Occupy Boston. And that was a natural lead to photographing the aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombing.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a citizen of Watertown. So this has been a very intense last week. I mean, beyond belief. I was trapped in my house in Watertown, and I'm a photographer, so I was running around my house with camera gear, photographing.
This came to my door. This happened in my neighborhood. I didn't go anywhere, and I couldn't go anywhere. Watching on the news, there were a huge amount of photojournalists and newspaper photographers out there photographing the search, the police going door to door, etc. But I think being a professional photographer, living in the town that it was happening, I thought I could get something that was a little bit unique. I made the decision to stay inside and stay locked down like we were told to, and I decided to photograph my experience of being locked down in Watertown. I was on the phone continually. The phone would not stop ringing. TVs were blaring, news reports. Panic would hit. The cops would run someplace. The reporters would run someplace. It was a false lead. Things would calm down. Gunshots are heard, and suddenly reporters are rushing, and the police are rushing, and so the adrenaline goes up. I went along for the ride and tried to photograph that ride. I was looking out the windows, and I would constantly be running up and down from the third floor to the second floor to the first floor. I saw nobody. It was armed camp, military, and police vehicles were everywhere. Deep down, you say to yourself, well, maybe I'll see him out the window. I mean, I think everybody has that kind of feeling. Like we're all in this together. We're all trying to capture this guy.
As of our latest news, we are told that they're currently still on the lookout for the suspects. That manhunt is a widespread manhunt.
When it got to about 4 o'clock, I saw the SWAT team moving from house to house outside my neighborhood. They checked out my neighbor's house across the street, then the house next to them, and then they walked across the street towards my house, up the stairs, and I opened the door. I had my camera gear with me. This is the shot I wanted, so I had a wide lens on my camera. For me personally, that scene and the photograph that I eventually got from that was proof positive that I was there at the time and what it meant. About 45 minutes later, the news came on that they had captured suspect number 2 in the boat in Watertown, and I immediately grabbed my gear, jumped into my car, and drove the 30 seconds down the street to Mount Auburn Street, where the spontaneous celebration started going wild. It was really, it's like the Red Sox had won the World Series, even more so. It was a scene of celebration. American flags were everywhere. They were waving it, people were yelling, they were clapping the police officers, clapping the SWAT teams. It was quite a scene, and I started photographing. It switched from a fairly personal project of me being solo in my house and the perception of what was going on out there to a photojournalistic assignment. In my mind, the natural ending to this project was the running of the 2014, the next year's marathon. And in a lot of ways, it would be a full cycle. More people would run, more spectators were going to show up. And I'm planning on photographing the Boston Marathon this year, too.